Tommy D mentioned Pacific time, so maybe we still have a chance. I don't... And for our next inductees, at this time, their inductors, referee Rich Bass and T.J. Wild. Rich Bass and T.J. Wild will be inducting Kyle and Matt, the Storm Brothers.
Well, the world really must be ending if we're inducting those shitbags into a Hall of Fame. Yeah, just kidding. No, I just want to say it's an absolute honor speaking in front of people that I grew up watching, people that inspired me to get even involved in wrestling. So that's really cool, and I appreciate, especially Sonny Goodspeed. Goddamn, he's great. You know, unlike most years, I'm not going to sit up here like most people that induct people and put myself over. It's really about the person I'm inducting, and that I can honestly say is one of my best friends in the entire world, Matt Storm. I don't know too much about his wrestling career. I know him more as an owner of a company and a booker. And over the past 8 years, I could probably say that he's been one of the best bookers in all of New England. I actually rival anyone to stand next to him and look at the things that he's produced. You're not going to find it. This is a guy that's gone all over the country and trained with people like Ricky Steamboat and Harley Race, and it just made him a much better wrestler and a better person. All the qualities that he learned from those guys really carried over to everyone that worked under him. And he just passed all that on and made myself, Matt, and everyone else underneath him, you know, better in the business. Whether it was with the Damned or it was with the Dogs of War, you always got 100% from Matt. You know, there are guys that he's used that other people say they wouldn't take out to dinner. Never mind use them on a show, which is a load of crap, because now those said guys are using them on their shows and they're getting more work throughout the area than ever before. You know what I mean? So it's, you know, wrestling, one of those things. He was the first person to really give me an opportunity to work anywhere outside of Yankee Pro Wrestling, and it opened up a whole door to other places and other people that I've never met before, and it really gave me the opportunity to be better at what I do. And I'll always be appreciative for that. You know, outside of the wrestling business, he also shows that selflessness. He's a director at a group home for mentally handicapped people, and if you think wrestling consumes each and every one of your lives, his personal job consumes him even more. And it's all about giving back more so than for himself. He's a guy that will always put somebody else before him and give you the shirt off his back, and that really proves it. You know what I mean? All joking aside, and everything else aside, he really deserves this award. He really deserves to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. You know, there are really important things coming up, Matt, right? But we can't quite get into that just yet. I've heard that somewhere before. Every show. You truly do deserve to be honored by your peers, and it's an absolute honor to induct you this year into the 2011 New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. Matt Storm, ladies and gentlemen.
Once again, I step on your toes, Ted. All right, I gotta admit, I'm kind of embarrassed here. I had this whole story written here, and sorry, Joe, I didn't really look at the website. I didn't see who else was getting inducted, and, well, I'm gonna be honest with you. I fabricated a story because I figured half you people don't know me, and I figured, I'm gonna come in here, I'm gonna tell you about the time that me and Kyle tore down the Madison Square Garden with Strikeforce in a 60-minute Broadway, and who's sitting in front of me? Martel and Santana. So, hey. And it sucks too, because in my story, the hot tag that Ricky took was a work of art. I mean, it was amazing. Fuck. That story's done. So I had to get rid of that. But it is rather fitting, actually, that Rick and Tito are in the same class as us, because they were probably the first two notable names that I'd ever worked on a show with. Unfortunately, never been in the ring with either one of them, but they were the first two guys that I grew up watching that sat down in a locker room and would say, you know, they critique things, they just let us pick their brains. And, you know, to that's, you know, that for a young guy just getting in the business who grew up watching that meant a lot. When I looked at Santana and Martella's Strike Force, I started thinking, wow, there's a lot of similarities between them and me and Kyle. See, let me go over this. Kyle looks confused, so let me go over this. Tito and Rick made their tag team run together as Strike Force. When Kyle and I first got in the business, we were Freedom Force. Yay! All right. Rick and Tito, they won tag titles together. We won tag titles together. When they came and worked for the NEWA, Rock D'Alessandro stiffed them on pay. When we worked at the NEWA, we got stiffed on pay by Rock D'Alessandro. Rick Martel, Tito Santana, worldwide legends, international wrestling stars. Man, Kyle Storm, yeah. All right, you got us on that one, guys. All right. You know, Rich did say that I try to take things lighthearted, and I do. I really try to be that guy. I am that guy who plays ribs and whatever, and I enjoy that. I have fun. I think that we do what we do because we love it. If you're going to be around the people that you love and the people you want to have fun with, that's what I want my legacy to be, and the fact that Rich brought that up makes me feel really good. Doesn't always turn out so good for me. 1997, Kyle and I were booked to work as a hardcore tag team for a week of shows for Jim Miller, his NWA East promotion in Pittsburgh, and our opponents are Chevy Vega and Samu. So night one, it's a hardcore match, and overall it was a great match, fantastic. The next night we're in the locker room and we're talking, and Kyle misspeaks to Samu and says drop kick instead of backdrop, and Samu just says, you know, I don't do drop kicks. Well, the promoter jumps in and says, yeah, you can't get his fat ass up there anymore. So me, after the night before, having seen him light Kyle on fire twice, break a VCR over my head, Samoan drop me into thumbtacks, suddenly would keep my mouth shut, right? No, not me. So I look at him and I say, yeah, but you threw a really nice looking drop kick on the WWF Sega CD video game. And what Samu does is kind of what he's doing right now, just kind of looks at me and just, says nothing. So I think it's forgotten. So we're in the middle of the match, and he's got me in a bit of a daze, and he grabs me by the head, and I know I'm going to get punched or a headbutt or whatever. And no, Samu, can you stand up for 1 second so people can get a visual on what a big guy Samu legitimately is? He hits me with the most picture-perfect, like think Kurt Hennig, drop kick, both of his big feet in the center of my face. I roll outside the ring. Well, that weekend was my dad's birthday party, and I went there with 2 black eyes and my 6th or 7th broken nose, and it's still one of my favorite weekends in this wrestling business. And one of my favorite stories. I know when I start saying, he's like, oh, it's the drop kick story. Yeah, I'm losing paper. Hey, Ted, pick those up for me. All right. But what would I do without my people? This event is not a roast, and it's a time for me to be uncharacteristically serious. Joe Bruin, it is an honor to be inducted tonight, not only along this cast and characters of legends, you know, it's people I grew up watching, people I had heard of in the wrestling magazines, but on top of that, my best friend in the whole wide world, my brother Kyle, a guy I've known over 15 years, TJ Richter, a man who no one has battered me and bruised me like Ebony Blade has through the course of our 14-month program that we did. And I think, when I look at Eric, I think we can both say that after that feud, we could both have stood up for Fritz in Texas and made it and survived, working that style. I don't think anybody's beat me up. To be with this cast of people, these friends, these family, along with these legends inducted, it means a lot. So Joe, please keep doing what you're doing. I'm going to skip through a lot of what I had to write because it just doesn't seem important. I just want to say the people I had to thank. When I got out of the NEWA, I started wrestling with Yankee Pro Wrestling. Guys like Brickhouse Baker, Scott Ashworth, Mike Edwards, Gino Caruso, Rick Fuller, Silvano Souza. Those guys were guys who took time with me. They imparted their knowledge. They watched what I was doing. They corrected the mistakes I had been making from a bunch of years of doing it wrong. And they really helped me try to learn how to do it in the ring, the psychology behind it. When Kyle and I moved along from what we were doing with Yankee Pro, we had a very big falling out, and we didn't talk for 3 years. Now, if you think about how long 3 years is in the course of your life, to not talk to somebody who means that much to you is a very big thing. during that time, I started tagging with a guy by the name of Draven, who's not here tonight, and we were the Damned. He's unfortunately not here. I want to thank him for all the good times. But Reginald Heresy, Dr. Heresy, I know you are here. He was basically acting as the New England office. He got us booked on shows all over the place, and because of that, I got working down in Pennsylvania for Steve Carino and his company. Through that, I got to work with guys like Trent Acid, who just passed away recently, the Maximo Brothers, Red, a lot of the former ECW crew, and like those guys became like my partners in crime down there, and a lot of great memories. Just guys that I would have never met if those opportunities in this wrestling business hadn't opened to me. That also, because of meeting Steve Carino, opened up the possibilities of PWF Northeast Pro Wrestling. There were a lot of younger guys along the way that met up with me, guys like Chris Venom and Triplicious, who gave me the opportunity to work with them in schools and kind of help impart what knowledge I had learned from the people I'd gone, and to help try to better them. Chris Venom wrestled his last match last weekend. He's since retired. Triplicious every week comes out there more fired up every month and just is like a better worker every weekend. So the fact that I see these two guys having made their mark in the time that they were here, I want to thank every talent that's ever gotten in the ring with me of the younger generation, if you want to say, who have given me a chance to teach them, and that they've trusted me to teach them what I've learned. Chris Venom and then Tommy Knoxville, who's not here, I'd like to thank them. Chris Venom was my top student at the time. Tommy Knoxville was Kyle's top student. The two of us weren't talking for 3 years, and our two top trainees decided they wanted to do something to get these two best friends back together. And they figured a way to do it. And we've been closer friends than ever. We are family now. And they succeeded, and because of that, again, PWF Northeast is a possibility because of their efforts. PWF did open the doors for us to train with guys like Harley Race, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, which, I mean, those are two of the greatest who ever laced their boots. To be in the ring with guys like them and to learn from them. I spent a couple weeks with Harley and a week with Ricky, and between just the knowledge I learned there was more than the rest of my time in the business. Those guys are, and while neither of them are here, I just want to let them know that still their influence on me and what I've learned, and the fact that they became unlimited resource for us, where we could, shoot Ricky an email, give Harley a call, and just say, hey, what do you think? And then they would give us feedbacks about promoting, and I mean, that's like a luxury, and many people don't get that luxury, and we got that. Harley, one of the things that I learned from them that I didn't expect I'd learn. Harley, the time when we were training with him, was pretty broken down. His back was bad. He was getting ready for back surgery, so he was using like a cane, and he's hobbling around, and with one hand he tapped me out. He kind of looked at me and said, "You want to work a hold, boy?" "Oh, okay, Harley." And he had me on my knees, and I'm tapping out, and he's just laughing. And he's got, I don't know if you guys see Harley, Harley used to have a handful of rings, gold rings, and he's crunching me down. So, and with Ricky was my favorite wrestler growing up. To never have made the WWF, to never have done that, but to have been taken in the ring of the old Squared Circle Academy by Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, and have me run through with him a flurry of the famous, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat offense. That for me was pretty amazing. That right there, to take those deep arm drags that I grew up watching, and then to have them on video, so when I want to go mark out to myself, woo, there I go, I'm with Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. So thank you to those guys. George the Animal Steel did impart some wisdom upon Kyle and I in 1996 that was sort of a prophecy that we never got then. He came to us after a big blow up we had with a promoter at the time, and he said, "Kids, you got to remember something. Promoters suck." And I think he was warning us, because PWF led to the merger with NECW. I thought that would be the footnote of my career. It's more of an epilogue. It was going to be an epilogue, but it's a footnote. So that brings us today. PWF Northeast Pro Wrestling is back. We might not be on TV right now, but you don't have to go through a bunch of menus on your Comcast cable to see us. A couple guys got that one. All right, good. All right, let me go through this close up, because I don't want to take too long. There's a lot of really interesting people coming up. I'd like to thank my partners in PWF Northeast, Kyle, Roy Rossi, Rich Bass, Spencer Jawas, for giving me the support and teamwork needed to do what we do and to be successful at reaching our business goals. I'd like to thank my producers, Caleb, Matt, Terry Stackhouse, for their work behind the scenes and in front of the cameras. I'd like to thank the heart and soul of PWF Northeast. That's our ring crew. JP Griffin, Rob Tuttle, Mark Billy, Brian Kelly, Big Nut Steve, the Super Daggio brothers, Pat Kelly and Campson Tran. Without those guys, our shows couldn't happen. I'd like to thank the talent of PWF Northeast, past, present, and future, for your talents and performances, from the top guys like the real deal Brandon Locke, Chris Pyro, Davey Cash, Handsome Johnny Hayes, Ryan Bispel, Ivy Blade, John Poe, Richter Monroe Belmont, all the way to the biggest curtain jerker we got, the rock god Brett Adams. Had to throw a curveball at my final guy I trained here. Special thanks to my very good friend, the extreme enforcer Paul Richard, who's not with us today, but his lovely wife did the food. He's given me a ton of advice, and he's given us a lot of work over the last few years helping us out. He's not here, but a big thank you, brother, to him. I want to thank all the wrestling fans, because without you, there is no reason for the show. I'd like to once again thank Joe Bruin for taking his vision and making it a reality in the New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. I'd like to thank Kyle's wife, Kim, and my beautiful wife, Adrian, for sticking by us and supporting us through this wild, exciting ride of professional wrestling. And last but not least, I want to thank somebody who's not here. Dave Jackson, we call him Reverend Chain. Without him, my time in this crazy business would not have happened. For me, Dave Jackson was like a dream catcher for me. He saw my dream, he gave me a way to live it. And with that, I humbly accept with great honor and gratitude my induction into the Hall of Fame, class of 2011. I couldn't have the Broadway with them in Madison Square Garden, but I pulled a Broadway promo out on it. No commercials.
Matt Storm, everybody. First of all, I'd like to thank Joe Bruin as well, and this amazing panel of present and past legends. Thank you for all being here. When Kyle called me and asked me to induct him in the New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, it was quite an honor. I sat down and I thought of all the nice things I could say about Kyle and all the complimentary things that I could come up with about Kyle Storm. And I wasn't able to come up with a whole lot. So I started making phone calls, I asked around, and I asked other people about all the great things that we've heard about Kyle Storm and all the wonderful things that he's done. And so, I got some feedback, so. Oh, it's blank, I'm sorry. It didn't give me a whole lot to work with. So then I took a look at the New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame website, and I realized Matt Dominguez was not scheduled to induct Kyle Storm. TJ Wilde was. Well, TJ Wilde could think of an awful lot to say about Kyle Storm. Kyle Storm, you have made my career a living hell. You've given me choke collars, flying elbows, and nut shots, most of them unexpected. You've teased me with mayhem invites, false pushes, and even fired me over the phone. You are truly one MFB. But in all seriousness, I could sit here and rattle off the titles he's held in various companies, but this Hall of Fame is not about titles. I could talk about the matches he's booked, the wrestlers he's trained, but this Hall of Fame is not about that either. This induction is about influence and what Kyle Storm has contributed to the New England independent wrestling scene as a whole. I have called Kyle many things over the years: a boss, a promoter, a landlord, an opponent, an enemy, and most of all, a friend. And maybe a few things I can't say on this microphone. But tonight I'm proud to call him something else, a Hall of Famer. So ladies and gentlemen, please join me in inducting Kyle Storm and Matt Storm into the New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame.
Oh, I got 2 plaques. I know. All right, Joe said I couldn't give the acceptance speech that I wanted to give. Anybody who's ever seen Half Baked, the goodbye scene from the fast food joint, that's what it was gonna be. Anyway, Matt, thank you very much. I can't really thank many more people than Matt already did. Thanks. One of the drawbacks of having an over 20-something year friend, and I remember in 1992,
He called me up. I had just graduated high school. Matt was still a senior. He called me up and goes, "Hey, my father works with a guy who bought a wrestling ring." I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, let's go in his backyard and we'll go mess around in it." "Sure, we'll go this weekend." And that was pretty much the beginning of the end. I would like to thank my wife and also Matt's wife. To the guys that are in the business, you understand, to find a woman that puts up with this shit is ridiculous. And I want to thank also Claudia Garcia, because she puts up with our shit too. And in all seriousness, everybody, when it comes to being in the business, and I look among everyone that's here, and Matt said it perfect, and TJ said it as well. We may not think that we've really done much, but to be able to go out and entertain everybody every weekend, and to travel around as much as I've been able to travel around and meet the people that I've met, and be in the ring with the people and learn from them has been a great honor to me. And like I said, 19 years ago it all started, and now here we are at the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, and I couldn't be prouder. So thank you very much.